Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, yesterday's video seemed to get a lot of likes and views because of the topic. And while I'm not going to necessarily continue on that specific topic, we will talk about the ship that is stuck in the Suez Canal and some more information about it. But we're going to connect that to some other things. And I didn't really do that yesterday. I specifically talked about just the ship, the impact of that, and stories around it. But now let's connect it. In case you haven't forgotten, because I think some people have, and I haven't really talked about it a lot in the last few weeks, but we still have, well, the Great Reset happening. Again, this isn't a conspiracy of what might happen. This isn't a conspiracy of, well, they're trying to work on it. This isn't some kind of, maybe in the future. This is actively taking place right now all across the planet, in this nation and many others. World leaders, the global banking cartel, billionaires, elites, heads of corporations, they are all actively working towards a global reset, a reset of the economy, a reset of our supply chain, a reset of how we interact with the environment and restrictions on that, and then a reset of not just the economy, but also currency, and then finally a real reset of government. If you go through and start reading some of the literature on the World Economic Forum's website, which they're the primary source for the Great Reset information. They're the ones that kind of birthed this idea or rebirthed it, because all it is just repackaged Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. But they talk a lot about global governance and new global governance. So just to remind you, the Great Reset didn't disappear. It still exists. They are still actively doing. If you step back, and I like to tell people, picture going to a museum. You ever seen on TV, maybe you've been to one, or an art gallery or a museum, where there's this massive mural on a wall painted, okay? Big, tall, wide, big mural, right? And imagine yourself standing right up close to it, to where all you can see is just, a foot square. And you have this concept of what the painting is based on this 1 foot square or so that you're looking at. And then take 10 steps back, then 15, and then 20, and just keep stepping back until you can finally get in one look, without having to look around or do anything. You step far enough back by just looking straight on, you can see the entire mural. That's kind of what you have to do right now in this world. You see, there's a lot of things going on. Some of it's distractions, some of it's disclosure, soft disclosure, kind of softening us up for what's to come. Some of it is, just, they're testing the waters. They want to see if how we will bite on it. If it's, like a fish, biting a lure. Will we bite or will we not? And some of it is just simply getting us further down the path of the full completion of the Great Reset. And because they set back, and they've done this for years, and they have all these experts and scholars and stuff where they can look at the whole picture, you and I can't really. We don't have access to that. And so they know that one incident over here in this country actually could lead down the line to this incident over here happening, and so on and so forth. So while I may not have conclusive, concrete evidence, I believe that everything that's happening right now on a global stage, at least the vast majority of it, is being an orchestrated plan. You can call me crazy all you want, to move America and the global community as a whole further down this path towards the Great Reset and global governance. That being said, there's been some things that's, maybe you've forgotten about, or maybe you've not been paying attention to, because it has to do with this global health crisis. And I know that most of you are kind of done with it. You're tired of it. You don't care. A lot of you live in places like I live where there's no restrictions. We've never had restrictions, really. I mean, some businesses at certain points had restrictions, and about the only restriction we had was in the very early beginnings of this. Places like restaurants and buildings had to, reduce the amount of people that was allowed in it. Other than that, there's never been any face diaper ordinances or anything like that. So for us and many of you, life is just seems to be somewhat back to normal, but that's not true with everyone. And there are some people out there that's still hyper-focused on it, that still lives in fear of it, still afraid that they might be that 0.03% or whatever it is that could actually die of whatever this is. But they don't want you to forget just yet, because like I've said, I personally believe this is never going away. I don't believe that in a year or two things are just going to go back to normal. We're going to forget about it. I believe everything up until now has either indicated or flat out told us that it's not going away. And one of those is that, they believe that this is going to be like a seasonal flu. In fact, I believe it was Bill Gates even the other day was saying that, people should just prepare that every year when you get your flu shot, you're just going to get your Rona shot too. An annual shot, just like the flu. So this isn't going to go away. But they tell you that the shot, you need it, you have to have it. But you still can get it, and you can still pass it along. You could even still get sick from it, and you could even still die from it after getting the shot. But the shot, you have to have it, right? Makes a lot of sense. Several people, including myself, have believed that they're probably, just like it did the last time. Remember when it first started and it kind of fizzled out, and people were like, all right, by summer, let's get this show on the road. Let's open things back up. Let's go back to normal. And then boom! This huge second wave hit, and it was so much worse, and people were really terrified, and they locked things back down even worse. And then now it's kind of getting to that point again, and it has been in a lot of places, that it's fizzling out again. Well, they're not going to let this die off just yet, because this hit the news. Yes, Papua New Guinea has discovered a new strain. There's all these new strains over the last few months. The UK one and all this different. This one is even different than all those. And this one is way more dangerous. Way, way, way more infectious. Like this one. This is the bad one. So, eventually, this one's going to make it to the shores here in the United States. It's inevitable. It's probably already here. If it even exists at all, it doesn't matter at this point. It doesn't even matter. Fact is that it's going to be used to start up a new wave, which has been talked about a lot in the news. Dr. Fakey has been talking about it for the last few weeks. CDC, other people have been talking about it. And it's coming. UK has been preparing for it, several other countries. And here we have an administration and a Congress controlled by a party that I believe wants to definitely use it. I believe the other party does too, but I think this party is probably a little bit more aggressive in their use of this emergency. In fact, so much so that there are some articles being passed around, being published recently, that the whole pandemic, that the whole lockdown should be permanent. That's right. In fact, they've talked about it in Oregon. There was some legislation being proposed in Oregon that would make the restrictions permanent. The World Health Organization and other people around the world have said that they believe that these restrictions, that these lockdowns should just be permanent. That it should be like, say, in China, where they just wear masks all the time. These restrictions of social distancing and restricting your movement and restricting what you can do in your home, they should be permanent. Because, heaven forbid, anyone gets this and gets sick for a couple of days. Because the vast majority of the people that's gotten it, that's usually all it is. In fact, the vast majority of the people that they claim has gotten it had no symptoms at all. It's also funny that these lockdowns would work really, really well with global governance and all the plans it's part of the Great Reset. And so why am I saying this? And I said in the beginning I was going to talk about the stuck ship in the Suez and how it connects. I believe it all connects. That stuck ship, in case you didn't know, and I didn't know until I read it, There's about $400 million an hour being lost in the global economy for every hour that ship is stuck there. For every hour that passes, $400 million in global money gets lost. Billions and billions and billions of dollars a day. There's already seeing early signs of increase of oil prices. They're already talking about shortages in certain areas, microchips in other areas. As of this morning, the latest that I've read personally, that they expected that thing to be sitting there for at least 4 to 6 weeks. Ships are already being backed up, turned around, and rerouted around the Horn of Africa or down around Africa, which takes 10 days to 2 weeks, maybe a little longer, really depending on the destination. I think that this is all part of this greater plan. They've got to do things to damage certain parts. They don't want it to be too obvious, because here's in the end, I've talked to someone once and they said, well, why don't they just drop the hammer on everybody? Just drop it down and say, this is how it is, live with it. Because even though they have technology more than we do, they have troops and machines and guns and drones and satellites and all this kind of stuff, in the end that they know we vastly outnumber them. And that even though they have all kinds of money and things, it's us as the worker bees that allows them to actually live. Because if we don't exist or we completely resist, then who are they going to get to pick their potatoes and tomatoes and all that kind of stuff that they eat? They don't want to eat the synthetic stuff. That's just for us. They want to eat good, clean, wholesome food, and they're not going to get out and work to get it. So they need us. That's the thing. We don't need them. They need us, these elites. And so I personally believe that it's always been this way, that they try to move things along as fast as they can without getting too much notice. And then when it starts to get a little bit of too much backlash or too much notice, that's when they kind of slow things down a little bit, and then they pick them up again. And I think they think because of, several things. Internet, how people have become more docile, maybe less testosterone. I don't know what it is. I think they think that they can push things along much more heavy right now, faster, harder. And so that's what we've been seeing happening. And they're moving their chess pieces around on the board to get them closer to the day that their plan is enacted. And I think that this pandemic, I know I probably shouldn't say that word on YouTube, but that's what they call it, right? The ship, stuff that's going on in Washington, stuff that's going on here in the United States, globally, China, Russia, everything. While all of it I cannot necessarily connect the dots, some of it you can. And you see that this ship's costing billions and billions of dollars a day. It's, taking basically 13% of the international trade market out. You've just deleted 13% of the international trade market by congesting up this one spot, one particular spot that one particular ship could do. Not all the ships could even do this. This is one of the few ships that's big enough to do what it did and to cause the damage that it did. And it's, a very small area that this could happen. So it's a lot of coincidences going on, right? And that with what appears to be in the coming weeks, another new wave. That's right, another new wave. They've all been warning about it for the last couple of weeks. And another new wave with, less stuff, less shipping and commerce going on. Just one more thing to bring us down to our knees a little bit faster. You look at the economy. I know a lot of people say, well, there's signs that the economy is doing good. Yes, but there's others that it's not. The dollar and certain aspects of the economy. So I think in the end, it's all one big puzzle, one big mural, one big picture. And most of us are only seeing little bits and pieces of that, and we can't quite understand what it all has to do with the other. But I think sometimes if we step back and we try to view the greater picture, we can start to kind of see that there's a lot of coincidences going on. They don't make sense. And I think it's highly unlikely that there's all these weird coincidences. The behaviors of world leaders are strange. The behaviors of the media is strange. How they just ignore certain things and other things they don't. I mean, we all know this kind of stuff. So folks, when we see all this stuff happening, know that it's not just most of it, a lot of it isn't by chance. And and I'm not even getting into stuff that's that may be out of their hand, the amount of volcanoes and earthquakes that's been happening. We'll get into that in a later video. All the more reason to be more prepared in your life, to stock up, to learn how to produce your own food. That is critical. Production of your own food. Take it out of their hands and put it into your hands. That's right. Take control of what gives you life, physical life. Try to get a place where you have waters like this. We've got 2 on the property. Learn how to do for yourself as much as possible. Become stronger physically and become stronger mentally, because that right there is vastly important. Get your house in order. This is what I've been preaching at you for months. Get your house in order. We do that here. Try to do something on every day to try to get ourselves a little bit more prepared and get our house in order, and spiritually included. I think the days are getting darker, not literally, figuratively. I think the pendulum is swinging towards evil, control. I think that's been foretold in the Bible, and I think that we are entering that time period that a lot of people might call the end times, but that's just a personal opinion of mine. I don't know where we are in that. That's not the point of this video. The point is, folks, though, it's time to get prepared. There's too much weirdness going on. Too many coincidences going on. Too much, wagging the dog and, all this newspeak going on. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, then what do you think it probably is, right? Exactly. All right. Thank you for watching. I want to mention just before I get off here, for any of you that's actually stayed to the very end, if you're looking for an amazing VPN service, which is a VPN is to help mask your online activity so hackers and people trying to get your information can't do that, including the government and the big tech companies, check out hidewithtravis.com. That takes you to a Viper VPN, which is an excellent and very highly rated VPN service that we use here on the property, and I work with them, and it's extremely reasonable, and right now they are running some specials for new people signing up. All right, thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.